Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to talk on a very important topic that is cybersecurity, supply chain risk management. Why this topic is creating a more importance these days, and we will also relate with some of the live examples that have recently done. So, if you see the recent pager explosions, so you can relate very well that this is nothing but the supply chain issues. Okay. So in this very much session, we will be talking on some of the very important issues related to cybersecurity, supply chain risk management. Also, we will be talking about some of the important issues that are related to IEC 62443 and how the issues related to IEC 62443 are related with the supply chain risk management. So in this way, we are going to discuss the different topics today. So let's start with the session today. So we will start with the basic definitions of the cybersecurity supply chain, or let's start with the very basic definition of the supply chain. So what is a supply chain? Okay, so supply chain is something when you are procuring something to put into your system, to put into your organization, to complete a certain task. You need a lot of equipment, you need a lot of services, you need a lot of softwares, hardwares, IoT devices, and all. So it is all about the supply chain. Okay, it is all about the supply chain. So when you are procuring from, let me draw a simple line with you people. Just a minute. Okay, let us suppose this is your organization A, and you want to buy a RT, okay, some remote terminal unit from the company B. Okay, but actually the B company is supplying the RTU, but it is taking uh, the parts from different organizations, be it C, D, E, and F. Okay, so let us suppose this is a scenario. You own a company A. For your company A, you want to have certain RTUs which are to be supplied by the company B. The company B is taking PCB from the company C. The company D is providing the battery for the RTU. Company E is providing the communication channels or something. Company F is something providing the enclosures or something. Okay. So because a single company cannot manufacture each and everything for the market, for the complete product, you need to be dependent. Even a car manufacturer is not manufacturing each and everything at their own. Okay, so tires is are of a certain company MRF, and windshield is of Saint Gobain, and probably steel he is procuring from Tata. Okay, so in that case, you can see a single product is not manufactured by a entire organization. So in that case, this entire way of for supplying or something is basically we called it as a supply chain risk management. Okay, so this is basically called supply chain risk management. This entire part is called supply chain risk management. So what we have to understand today that in this entire supply chain, okay, so supply chain is B to A, and different vendors are here elaborated C, D, E, and F. Okay, so this entire analogy is called supply chain, and the definition of supply chain is a network of organization, people, activities, whether it is related to IT, OT, or non-IT, or sometimes resources which are involved in the creation and delivery of the products or services from the supplier to the customer. Okay, so the main objective is to provide services from the supplier to the customer, and the different entities which are coming in between is entirely called a supply chain. Okay, so in the current world, there are a lot of supply chain issues are coming. Okay, because somebody is producing raw materials, somebody is providing components. If some person running a retail store, so probably He has some data centers out of his country, or he has some warehouses out of his country, or probably in his own city. But he is taking raw material from some different suppliers. So this is the global world, and in this entire global world, you can see that people are learning a lot of things, and definitely just because of all this, there is a big issue of cybersecurity supply chain. Okay, so there is a very big issue of cybersecurity supply chain, and today in this very much session, we are going to talk on this particular topic because if you recently seen the pager blast, okay, I think everybody has seen in the recent issue that what happened in the Israel, like how Israel planted explosive in Hezbollah's Taiwan-made pager. So this is entirely a part of the supply chain. Okay, so in this very much session, we will see such issues and how an organization can protect himself for such important issues. For okay, so we will see certain scenarios of cybersecurity supply chain issues in OT technology, OT infrastructure into the power sector specifically. So let me give you a scenario, and we will be discussing on certain scenarios. And after discussion on the certain scenarios, we will be discussing further onto the topic. So what I thought to sequencing the session, I thought first to talk on certain scenarios, and then we will talk on the other issues. And you all are requested to put your comments into the chat box related to these scenarios. So in the first scenario, there is a power utility who procures the smart grid devices such as meters, sensors, and controllers from the third-party vendor. Unbeknownst to the utility, the vendor's manufacturing process is compromised by a cyber criminal who insert malicious firmware into the device during the production. Okay. So in this particular scenario, you can see that a power utility is procuring certain meters and sensors and certain controllers from a third-party vendor. Okay, because a power utility cannot produce and manufacture all this. So in that case, what is happening actually, uh, the vendor who is manufacturing all this is being compromised by a cyber criminal. Okay, so maybe by any case, he is being compromised and he inserts some malicious firmware into the devices during the production. So what the current scenario is, in this current scenario, you can see that the piece of software that is used by the utility is basically impacted. Okay. The piece of software is being impacted, and that infected software may be having uh, different level of um, lateral movement, I would say, capabilities, and there are different type of capabilities the malware has. So what the impact as per the scenario is, so once deployed in the power grid, the compromised devices allow attackers to remotely control grid operations. So the important part is that once it is into the system, it can remotely control the grid operations, leading to service disruptions, grid instability, and potential cascading blackouts. So attacker could also manipulate data from meters to cause billing inaccuracies, leading to significant financial losses. So what could be the resolution? So the exact resolution is through supply chain risk assessment. So whenever you are procuring something, whenever you are putting something into your organization, definitely it's very much required that you uh, procure the same thing with a proper C-SCRM. Okay, that is cyber security supply chain risk management. So the word is C-SCRM, that is cyber supply chain risk management. In the cyber supply chain risk management, different areas are being checked. Okay, in the upcoming slides, we will see in the entire this long session, we will see the entire part that how these supply chain risk assessment issues can be handled by checking all these things. So in this particular case, firmware validation and integrity checks before devices are installed should be done. Okay, so it's very much important that usually we are doing some inspections of something. Okay, we are doing inspections, we are doing a lot of type testing also. But nowadays, it is also required to understand that apart from type testing and apart from the inspection, the live validation of the devices is very much important. So this is a very important part that you all need to check before actually putting certain things into the organization. Then we have a different scenario where this there is a supplier backdooring substation controllers. Okay, and these are the hypothetical scenarios, but in in some of these scenarios, the things already happened. Okay, so I'm not putting specifically the case. I will put down only two specific cases today in front of you. One is a SolarWinds vulnerability and one is a Log4j vulnerability. Okay, but these are the certain cases which are related to the energy sector, or and these cases can be put down onto the any type of the uh, OT sector or IT sector. That doesn't uh, a point of concern. But the point is that these issues can be like occurred at any moment of time. So let us talk on the scenario. Power company procures substation controllers from a supplier. Okay. So the scenario is that a power company is procuring substation controllers from a supplier. The suppliers unknowingly uses components from a third-party manufacturer that embedded backdoor access. Okay. So the issue is that a malware has embedded with the backdoor access. Usually it is called as shell access or reverse shell. Okay, into the controller. So what is happening in the reverse shell? A person who is sitting very much far from you can take a remote connectivity to your devices. So in this way, some malicious entity has embed backdoor access and allowing an attacker to bypass security controls. So this is the scenario. So what can be the possible impact? So the backdoor allow unauthorized remote access to the substation control system, enabling attackers to manipulate circuit breakers, transformer and voltage settings. This can lead to localized power outages or equipment failures. Okay, so this is the same type of case that is we have talked in the previous part. The power company must ensure through vetting of suppliers, including the traceability of components, and conduct regular security audits on supply chain to detect unauthorized modifications or backdoors. So here, in the previous example, if you can see, the problem is a certain different where attacker has injected a malware. In this particular case, attacker has injected a backdoor access. So in every case, you will see certain issues are there. Now the third case is third-party maintenance vendor compromise. Then we have a counterfeit components in critical OT infrastructure. So we will see this. This is a very important scenario. In this particular scenario, a power utility unknowingly purchases a counterfeit hardware components like PLCs or RTUs from a supplier. These counterfeit components are designed to look and function like legitimate but contains subpar or malicious code. Okay, so there are something fishy and malicious code is there. The counterfeit components begin to fail under normal operating conditions, leading to equipment malfunction in the OT environment. Malicious code embedded in the component could also allow attackers to cause operational disruption or siphon off the sensitive control data. So again, you can see uh, most of the times the malware is injected into the firmware. Plus, they are put in any form into the entire supply chain. So it is very much important that you must understand that how these issues can be resolved. Okay, so we will see one by one that how we will going to discuss that. Brave Tech, please, you are asking, please, where can we mark attendance? Please focus on the session first, then we will see to your attendance, Mr. Brave Tech. Okay, so let's go ahead. So these are certain scenarios. I'm not taking all the scenarios. Yeah, this is very important. Usually, this is creating a lot of issues. The insecure remote monitoring services. So, a power utility uses a third-party software to provide monitoring OT infrastructure remotely. The service provider network security practices are weak. An attacker exploit vulnerability in the remote access system. So, this is the scenario. What could be the possible impact? Attackers gain control over remote monitoring systems, potentially feeding false data to operators or manipulating the monitoring tools to conceal attacks. This could prevent the utility from detecting and responding to real-time threats, leading to undetected sabotage and external outages. So, in this particular case, insecure remote monitoring service could be a serious issue. Now, we will discuss towards the two main cybersecurity issues that have raised just because of the supply chain. So everybody might be knowing about these two important supply chain attacks. One is a SolarWinds attack, and one is a Log4j vulnerability. So we will see all these two important vulnerabilities. Specifically, this particular SolarWinds attack is a pure supply chain attack, and Log4j is not a pure supply chain, but the impact is because of the supply chain. So I've just find a very good video for you. So I would like to play this particular video too. I want you please see it with full focus. Okay.
Preliminary indications suggest that the scope and scale of this incident are beyond any that we've confronted as a nation, and its implications are significant.
Information technology company SolarWinds was found to be the target of a massive cybersecurity attack in December. The company's Orion software had been compromised, and the breach went undetected for at least 9 months. It had exposed 18,000 computer networks around the world to malicious code. The hackers used the supply chain attack to send a virus into the system, which spread to the company's clients through software updates that created a way for them to gain access to sensitive data.
Imagine almost a secret door into your house, and the first thing that happens when they come through that secret door is all your keys are right there. They just grab them, and now they can get into any locks you have in your house.
The president of Microsoft called it the largest and most sophisticated attack the world has ever seen.
When we analyzed everything that we saw at Microsoft, we asked ourselves, how many engineers had probably worked on these attacks? And the answer we came to was, well, certainly more than 1,000.
Among those affected by the hack were thousands of private organizations, including tech corporations such as Microsoft, Intel, and Cisco. U.S. government agencies, including the Treasury, Homeland Security, and others were also affected. Cybersecurity analysts say an attack like this could be used to access government data, intelligence reports, employee information, and email accounts. The true scope of the attack is unknown, as analysts are still trying to figure out how much information has been leaked, but they say it could take months to identify which systems were compromised and expel the hackers.
We've never been left with a breach like that before, where we know months into it that we're only looking at the tip of the iceberg.
The U.S. has accused the Russian intelligence service of orchestrating the attack. They say it resembles the techniques used against Ukraine in 2017. But Russia denies any involvement in the SolarWinds hack. The attacks are continuing to this day as government agencies try to secure their systems. The hack has demonstrated how vulnerable governments are to this type of cybersecurity breach.
The video is exactly about the solar wind and how the solar wind supply chain has affected the entire government into the United States of America, and why this particular topic is gaining so much of importance right now. If you've seen recently into the previous few days, like Hezbollah pager attack, and most of the times we have seen that the products which are coming out of the countries and in certain cases people are procuring from the international markets. So there is always risk that the supply chain could be impacted. Okay, so there is a risk that supply chain could be impacted. So in that particular case, we have to understand that the supply chain should be maintained. Okay, and how you are going to take care of the supply chain is all depends on the fact that you take proper care towards the supply chain. So this is the main motive today to make you people understand that why this supply chain is an important issue. So this is the overview of the solar wind supply chain attack that is visible to you on your screen. The attack started in March 2020 and it executed the entire attack in December 2020. So you can see it's a 9 month timeline frame that they have used for orchestrating an attack. Okay. So the first is supply chain compromise. So the SolarWind Orion software. So the basic issue is there is a software SolarWind Orion and which is used for the network monitoring. Okay, so it is being compromised with a malicious binary named as Sunburst, and more than 18,000 organizations installed the Trojanized update. Okay, so you can see that 18,000 customers are with SolarWinds, and um, in the initial days of my career, I have also worked on the SolarWinds. Okay, but and it's a good company. Okay, it's a very good company, and the network operation centers are using SolarWinds on a very larger level. You can see that in year 2000, more than 18,000 customers it is having. So in the field of security, if some company is saying he has 18,000 customers, you can see the large number of market penetration the organization is having. So in that particular case, a malicious binary named as Sunburst is being injected into the update, and basically the 18,000 users got a update for the Trojanized update. Now in the second phase, it has validated the environment. So the Sunburst activated around 12 to 14 days after the Trojanized update have been installed and validate that analysis tools and antivirus engines component are not present. Then he has itself identified the C2 domain and established the initial C2 tunnel so that they can communicate with their command and control IPs. Then they have established the full featured C2 tunnel. In the full featured C2 tunnel, they have uh, installed the lot of features which can uh, take the keyboard access and the reverse shell access. Then they have done a lot of domain reconnaissance so that they can know about the Active Directory functionality, and they have gained the domain controller access. In the second phase, they get the domain admin access, and then they have still the SAML signed certificates. Okay, so SML signed certificate is basically used for the authentication at different levels of the software. Then they have taken the admin access and modifying the federal trust for long-term access. So the step 10 is basically for the persistent access, and then they have theft a lot of a lot of data and all. So the main issue is that, so the main concern that we are focusing is on the step one, that is supply chain compromise. And in today's session, we are not concerned about the different issues that have been faced, but we are most focused towards the supply chain compromise. So in supply chain compromise, you can see that the entire Trojanized update with a malicious binary sunburst is being injected into the organizations of 18,000 organizations. So this is a wonderful and perfect example for the SolarWinds for the cybersecurity supply chain attack. Then the other example is basically the Log4j vulnerability. In the Log4j vulnerability, what has happened? Log4j. So let me make you understand in a simple terms what is a Log4j. So Log4j vulnerability is also called as Log4 shell vulnerability, and it is a critical remote execution vulnerability discovered in the Apache Log4j logging library, a popular open source logging tool for Java application. Okay, actually, it is a logging tool for Java applications. Okay, so Java application usually when we have J2ME and J2SC, J2EE applications, web applications are running previously. This Log4j vulnerability has created a devastated effect. Okay, so you can see that how these attacks are basically impacting the entire supply chain. So basically, what happened? The attacker can host malicious code on a remote server. Okay, so because the server who is generating the logs pushing into the Apache Log4 library. Okay, so this library is basically infected, and the attacker can host a malicious code and use the Log4j instance to execute that code on the affected system. The vulnerability enabled remote code execution, which allows the attacker to take full control of the compromised system. And the main thing is that this vulnerability is intentional. Okay, so this is an intentional vulnerability, and someone has put down this thing intentionally into the system. So, with this example, I just want to make you aware that how these supply chain issues are impacting the cybersecurity. And if you are not taking proper care of these cybersecurity issues, then definitely it can impact your entire organization. So now we will be starting with some of the key components of a supply chain. Any questions up to this, you can put into the chat box. Okay, so what are the key components of a supply chain? Okay, so now we will discuss that what are the key components of a supply chain. So we in the previous example we have seen that A is procuring from the company B, B is procuring from multiple companies C, D, and E. So in this way, So we are seeing the key components of the supply chain. So in the previous example, where I have talked about like A is procuring something from B, and B is subletting his certain parts from certain company CD. So these are all are the become the part of the supply chain. Okay. So what are the key components of the supply chain? See, suppliers are the supply chain components, manufacturers, warehouses, distribution, retailers, and customers. Okay, so if I talk with the recent pager blast example, pager blast example. So the recent reports which are coming out, they are saying that the issue is lying with the warehouses. That issues is lying with the warehouses where the entire explosives are added with the battery in the pagers, because these all are clean. These all are clean. Only the warehouses are something where 12 to 14 hours the pagers are lying in this particular location. Okay. So why I am putting more emphasis on this particular topic? Because supply chain issues are very big issues, and they are sometimes even not visible with the naked eye. Okay, and you cannot put a technology to find out a supply chain issue. Okay, you cannot put firewall to block a supply chain issue like a normal malware or something. Supply chain issues are basically related to your geopolitical situations. Supply chain issues are related to your uh, friendly relations or enemy relations with your neighbors or with some different countries. Secondly, we have different groups in this world. Okay, so if one country is creating a lobby, another country is creating a lobby. So that lobbies are basically not favoring each other. So in this way, supply chain is not a purely technical issue. It's more over a geopolitical issue, and that's why it is having a higher importance these days. So key components of the supply chain are suppliers. So who are the suppliers? They provide the raw materials, parts, or components needed to produce the goods. Okay. So suppliers give the raw materials and something to the manufacturers. Manufacturers transform raw material into finishing products through production process. After manufacturing, they give it to warehouses. Warehouses store goods before they are distributed to retailers or directed to customers. After that, they are giving for the distribution. In the distribution, they ensure that products are delivered from the warehouses or factories to retailers or end customers. Okay, so in this way, the entire supply chain is working, and if you can see that these components are very much important. Particularly, if I talk we working on the IT technology and ICT operation technology, and they mostly rely on they are very complex and globally distributed, extensive, and interconnected supply chain ecosystem. And they are compromised because of the geographically diverse routes and sometimes consist of multiple level of outsourcing. So in this example, we have seen A is procuring from B and B is taking from CDE, and CDE may be geographically spreaded, and sometimes even they are procuring from some other vendors. Okay, so basically, this is entirely called the ecosystem, and this ecosystem is composed of the public and private sector entities. Okay, so both public and private sector entities are there, and the companies maybe they can be acquirers, they can be suppliers, developers, system integrator, and sometimes external service providers, and other ICT OT related service providers, because they interact with each other to research, develop, and design. Lot of works they are carrying together, like manufacturing. They are delivering the integrated operations, maintaining, disposal of the services. So the point is that the supply chain has become a serious issue, and this basically ecosystem, the entire ecosystem has evolved to provide a set of highly refined, cost-effective, and reusable solutions. Okay, because B will procure from C if C will be giving into the lowest prices. Okay, so in this particular, you can see B will, why B procure from C? If C and M, there are two companies, one is giving at $2 a certain product and M is giving at $3. So B will procure from C because he is getting 50% benefit. Okay, so prices is also a very much concern. So the point we need to understand here that cybersecurity supplies and risk management with also taking care of lot of financial issues. Okay, so in the upcoming slide we will see that. So basically, the points we have discussed till now. So supply chain refers to like a linked set of resources and processes between the different level of enterprises, each of which is an producer, someone is a consumer, and through this entire supply chain, we are facing a lot of cyber security risk throughout the supply chain. Okay, so these are the major key components of the supply chain. So now we will talk about cyber security, supply chain cyber security context. Just a minute, please. Yes, Simi Alex has a question. Why can't the protect products be checked before being distributed? Yes, they are being checked these days. Yemika Brown, supply chain issues can be resolved with firewalls and technology. Yes, they can. Okay, good, good. Okay, so let's discuss further, like supply chain in the cybersecurity context. So in the previous two examples, where we have seen the SolarWind attack and we have seen the Log4j vulnerability. So what we have seen broadly that how these supply chain issues are there. So basically, let me explain and define you the cybersecurity supply chain. So it is basically a systematic process for managing the exposure to your cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain, and you must develop the appropriate response strategies. See, the most important part in the entire cybersecurity supply chain is that how you will going to strategize the thing, how you are going to build the policies, how you are going to build the processes, and what are the procedures. So if you remember, we have talked sometime before on the PPT framework. Okay, people, process, and technology. So, I usually put 33% to each of them. Okay, and 34% to sometimes technology. So here the supply chain risk, the major part is basically people, that is people and process. Okay, so the purpose of the entire today's session is to provide guidance to you people to how to identify, how to assess, how to select, and how to implement risk management processes and like mitigating controls across your organization to help you to manage cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain. Okay, so we will be see all these things one by one. So the supply chain can refer to the interconnected digital system and vendors involved in delivering softwares, hardwares, or services. Risk arises when any part of the chain is compromised, leading to a potential vulnerability in the supply chain. So in the previous example, if you can see this particular example, in this particular example, we have seen that A is procuring from B, B is starting procuring from C and CD different vendors, and in some case, any of the vendor is being compromised or something, the entire supply chain is basically impacted. So this is why supply chain risk management is critical, especially for sensitive industries like defense technology and critical infrastructures. Okay, so that's why we are most concerned toward the supply chain. So to manage the issues of the supply chain, there is a special framework that we called as a NIST special publication NIST SP 800-161. Okay, so today we are going to focus on this particular NIST SP 800-161 that is talking about the cybersecurity supply chain risk management practices for systems and organizations. Okay, So this is a very good framework, and I'm working for the last few years on this particular framework. And the best feature for this framework is that it is not an isolated framework. Okay, and different NIST frameworks who are supporting it into the regular updation of this particular framework. NIST SP 800 is a series, and lot of different uh, directions and frameworks they have released. And in that series, this NIST SP 161 revision 1, this R1 means revision 1, and this revision 1 is specifically released. So, what is NIST? So, there is a break for 5 minutes. Okay, so let's start again. This is NIST SP 800-161. We have talked, and this publication provide guidance towards the organizations that how you people are doing and how you people are going to do. Also, this standard is taking care of the entire cyber security supply chain into the risk management activities. So, what this SP 800-161 is asking you to do, it is asking you to embed your cyber security supply chain risk management into the integral part of your risk assessment. Okay, so whenever you are doing the risk assessment of your organization, okay, whether it is a asset based risk assessment, whether it is a process based risk assessment, that's not an issue, but add this C-SCRM, cybersecurity supply chain risk management, into your organizational basic risk assessment. So this is the major part the NIST SP 800 is talking care about. So let's talk with some of the definitions, then we will start ahead. So supply chain refers to the linked set of resources and processes between the and among multiple levels of an enterprises, each of which is an acquirer that begin and the sourcing of products and services. So basically, uh, the one who is consuming and one who is producing, and the people which are coming in between, whether it is a warehouse where it is some C&F agents, or whether it is someone who is doing the testing and all, it becomes the integral part of the supply chain. Okay. Then cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain is a very important part, because whenever we are working with the cybersecurity components, so there is always a risk that the cybersecurity may be breached, because cybersecurity breach is something which you cannot prejudice. Okay, you have to make yourself understand that these security issues are embedded into the core functionality of the product, and if that core functionality is being exploited by the attacker or something, then the entire infrastructure and the entire base can be impacted. Okay, so in this way you can understand and how you are going to deal with. So there are certain examples for cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain, like third-party vendor compromise and counterfeit or tampered hardware, software vulnerabilities in third-party products. So these are the important areas that we have already talked about. So C-SCRM, cybersecurity supply chain risk management, it's a systematic process for managing exposure to cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain and developing appropriate response tech strategies, policies, procedures. The purpose of this particular publication, that is NIST SP 800 SP, is to provide guidance to enterprise on how to identify, assess, select, and implement risk management processes. So basically, we have to create the risk management processes, and we have to basically implement this risk management process into the integral part of risk assessment. Okay, so to add into the integral part of risk assessment, this is a very important part. So let us talk about the dimensions of SCRM. So what are the dimensions of SCRM? So whenever we talk about dimensions of SCRM, it means that the cybersecurity supply chain risk management, uh, basically covering the entire software development life cycle, which includes research and development. It includes designing, it includes manufacturing, it includes acquisition, delivery, it is including your integrations, operation maintenance, O&M, disposal, and basically the overall management of the enterprise products and services. So basically, organizations should integrate SCRM within the software development lifecycle, as this is a critical area for addressing your cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain. See, SDLC is a very important part. SDLC stands for Software Development Life Cycle. Okay, so when you are creating the softwares, when you are building your applications, building your tools. So put down the CRM on to the very base level, because this will help you to recognize the potential issues, and it will also embed awareness into the stakeholders that may be impacting on the positive side to your security, suitability, safety, and reliability of the entire supply chain risk management. So we will see one by one that what are the important areas that this dimensions are. So firstly, we will talk on to the cultural and awareness. Okay. So what is basically cultural and awareness? Cultural and awareness is basically a set of shared values, practices, and goals that how your organization is ready for the implementation of cybersecurity supply chain risk management. It is basically a learning process that influences individuals and enterprises attitudes and make you people understand to realize the importance of the supply chain risk management and the adverse consequences of its failure. If I talk into the most of the organizations, you have seen that supply chain risk management. If I talk about supply chain risk management, it is not having a high amount of value. Okay, so it is not usually having a high amount of value. People are not putting a lot of emphasis on this particular part. So the important part is that the first important part is that the culture and awareness should be embedded into the organization. Okay, so it should be embedded into the organization. Okay, so once you have embedded the culture of security, the culture of the cyber security, supply chain risk management into your organization, you will see the results can be very much helpful. And also the most important part is that you are able to see a lot of positive things in your organization. Lot of positive feedbacks will be there. So this is like a very important part. Secondly, we have security. Okay. So what security is? Security provides the CIA. Basically, we have talked about the CIA, where the very CIA triad we have talked. So basically, CIA is a very important part, and in the NIST SP 816, so there is a separate standard NIST SP 816, which is focusing on the CIA part, that is confidentiality, integrity, availability. So the security part describes the supply chain, that how it is going to impact the confidentiality, how it is going to impact the integrity. Because when we talk about supply chain, so there are a lot of information about products, a lot of information about services, and sometimes they are logical, sometimes they are physical. So basically, a lot of things are going to be taken care of. So security to ensure the CIA of the product. Then we have a suitability. Okay, we have a suitability. Suitability means it is focusing on the supply chain, and it will provide you the products and services being right and appropriate for the enterprises and its purpose. Okay, so the best product as per your organization need is an important part of the suitability. So we are just talking on to the different dimensions of SCRM. Then we have safety. So safety, as if I say, is mostly focused on ensuring that the product and services are just free from the conditions that can cause death, injury, occupational illness, damage or loss of the equipment or property or any type of infrastructure, and even damage to the environment is taken care of in this particular safety. So whenever we are talking about the cybersecurity supplies and risk management, so safety is also a biggest concern. Then we have reliability. So reliability is focused on the ability of a product or service to function as defined for the specific period of time in a predictable manner. So word predictable manner is a very much important. Predictable manner, because the thought process that you have taken care of should be embedded and fulfilled by the particular product. Okay, so reliability is an important issue. Then we have a different vertical, that is the usability. Okay, so what is usability? So usability is nothing but it is focusing on the extent to which a product, a services, a RTU, or any equipment can be used by a specified user to achieve specified goals with its full effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. So usability means if you are procuring something, if you are putting something into your organization, so it should be usable and up to the best efforts it can be given. Quality is, I think everybody must be knowing it. So quality is focusing and basically the major motive of the quality is that it should uh, as per the performance, focused on meeting or exceeding performances, technical and functional specification. While there are certain vulnerabilities are there, some weakness are there, but still they are able to compensate with all these things and lead to a good results towards the organization. Efficiency is something we called it as a focused on the timelines of the intended result delivered by a product or service. So efficiency is very much required, and efficiency is somewhat related to reliability also. Okay, so whenever we are talking about efficiency, we are already also talking about the reliability, but reliability is also taking sorry, what? Okay, but reliability is also taking care of the your prediction. Okay, that how you are basically uh, predicting in a predictable manner about certain things. Then we have integrity, then we have a maintainability. So we are not taking each and every part. Most of the points we have covered. The most important part that is the 2 points we will discuss: stability and resilience. So scalability is means that in case in a very fine day, if you find that your organization is growing on a very fast pace, so you must ensure that your products, your services are able to handle the increased growth. So scalability is the capacity of a product or services to handle increased growth and demand. Okay, so the other part is resilience. So basically, resilience is focused on ensuring that a product that you are using or services or anything which is a part of the supply chain supports the organization ability to prepare for and adopt with the changing conditions. Okay, like whenever we talk about COVID-19, in COVID-19, we always say that the resiliency towards the security is a very important part because after COVID-19, a lot of new malwares are being generated. The world is exponentially running after the security. So resilience is a very important. So these are the different dimensions of supply chain risk management. Adofo, please can the learning materials be provided? You can download this framework from the website of NIST. Mr. Abigail Adolfo, you can download from there. Okay, so these are the different dimensions of SCRM. Now we will talk about the integration of cybersecurity risk management into the enterprise-wide risk management. See, till now we have talked on certain points that are covering the basic cybersecurity risk management tactics. We have not talked anything about the controls, and you can see that in the current slide it is clearly visible that how an organization can embed the cybersecurity supply chain risk management into your organization. So the main point is that the CSCRM should be the integrated into the enterprise-wide risk management process, and the enterprise-wide risk management process is basically the part of NIST SP 839. Okay, so I'm just writing here also NIST Special Edition Series 800 Volume 39. So this is the version, and it is focusing on risk management, enterprise-wise risk management. Okay, so risk management, you can read this particular framework. So this picture that is in front of you is basically the part of NIST SP 839. Okay, but it has a very much importance in the cyber security risk management, because you have to understand that it has four major components. One is the frame, one is the assess, respond, and monitor. So these are the four major components that you need to take care of. So we will start with this particular point, that is frame risk. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. So whenever we talk about frame risk, so frame risk is something. This is the frame model that is in between the assess, respond, and monitor. So frame risk means when you want to establish the context of the risk-based decisions, and you know the current state of the enterprise information, and whether it is IT technology or OT technology. So what are the associated supply chain with it? You need to create a context of the risk-based decisions. Okay. Then we have assess risk in this particular area. You need to assess the risk. You need to review and interpret it critically. What are the threats? What are the vulnerabilities? What are the likelihood? What are the impact and the related information? So basically, I will write here also that you need to correlate with the threats you have. You need to correlate with the vulnerability you have. Then what are the likelihood you have, and what are the impact you have. So this is all about your assessing the risk. The second part is basically responding to a risk. Responding to risk. In particular, respond to risk, you need to select that how you are good to go with the implementation of the mitigation control based on your risk assessment findings. So some certain risk assessment you have done here, and based on that you will respond to the risk which are basically discovered during the RA process. Then we have a monitoring risk exposure and the effectiveness of mitigating risk on an ongoing basis. It includes the tracking changes to the information systems or supply chain using effective enterprise communication and a feedback loop for continuous improvement. So you can see it's a feedback loop that is continuously going on, and every time something new is added, something new product is added, or new services are being added, it is definitely become the part of this assessment process. Okay, this assessment process, whenever new thing is added to this assessment process, then it will go to respond and monitor. Okay, so in this way, the entire risk management process is working. The most important part is that managing cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain. It's a complex process, and it requires a lot of cultural transformation also, and a lot of coordinated effects. Multidisciplinary approach is required across the organization, because people are not ready to adopt the same. Okay, so you have to work upon it. Secondly, if you want to effectively put down cybersecurity chain risk management, then it also requires engagement from the stakeholders inside your enterprises. So you have different type of enterprises, and in different type of enterprises, a lot of departments are there, a lot of processes are there, and sometimes you have to deal with the outside enterprises also. Like you have certain developers, certain suppliers. If you have SAP or if you have any ERP or something, then you have to take care of. So basically, whether it is IT or whether it is the OT, so you have to take care of the thing that it will see. The thing is that you have to actively collaborate with your people uh, so that you can reap out the best benefits out of this. So, what are the benefits of supply chain risk management? We will see one by one that what are the benefits of the supply chain risk management and how these should be there. Apart from this, I want to add some of the main good points with you that the organizations are focusing nowadays for the supply chain risk management, and the point is that what are the benefits. So we will see one by one that what are the benefits. So benefits of SCRM. An established SCRM program will enable enterprises to understand which critical assets are more susceptible to supply chain weakness and vulnerability. So once you have done this SCRM program, okay, so after this SCRM program is being conducted, so you are able to find out the critical assets. Okay, so that critical asset that can have a higher impact. Okay, so you have to jot down the critical assets which are having a higher impact, and this SCRM will help you out to build up maturity in your organization that you are able to take care of this particular supply chain. Then SCRM reduces the likelihood of supply chain compromised by a cybersecurity threat by enhancing an enterprise's ability to effectively detect, respond, and recover. So basically, response capabilities are basically improved. Okay, so if you have supply chain risk management into your organization, then definitely the responding capabilities are drastically improved. Then we have operational and enterprise efficiencies because they have achieved through clear structure, purpose, alignment with the CRM capabilities. So you can put down a lot of processes which are in line with your existing CRM processes, and you can prioritize them, consolidate, and streamline them in order to make them uh, in line with your existing risk assessment process and strategizing things. Then we have a it is a greater assurance that acquired products of high quality, authentic, reliable, and resilient. So the major output for the entire SCRM is, I would like to say this point only, that you are able to acquire high quality, authentic, reliable, resilient, maintain, secure, and safe products. So what is the end goal? So this is the end goal where you can talk upon. I'm seeing them that some people are more interested in creating a WhatsApp group or something. So what I'm doing, I'm just putting off the chats. Okay, okay. So just because of some people who are disturbing the entire class by asking the nuisance question, I now we have closed the chats for you. Okay, till the session. At the end of the session, now the chats will be open. I hope now this is a good thing for you all. If somebody is teaching you a good topic, then people are still more interested in the WhatsApp group discussion, then I don't think so. There is motive behind us to work harder for you. Okay, let's go ahead. So there is a greater assurance that suppliers, services providers, and the technology providers, they provide trustworthy. So basically, these are the common benefits that any organization can reap out. So let us see that what are the cybersecurity risks throughout the supply chain. We will see one by one. See, these are the non-exhaustive list. I've just put down 3 4 points so that you can work upon. So, cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain refers to the potential for harm or compromises that arise from the cybersecurity risk posed by suppliers. So, basically, what we are planning to do, we wish to judge that what are the potential for harm or compromise that arises from the cybersecurity risk posed by suppliers, their supply chains, and their products and services. Example of these include insiders working on behalf of a system integrator, steal sensitive intellectual property, resulting in loss of major competitive edge. So basically, if somebody who is an insider and he working on the behalf of a SI, then he can steal some sensitive intellectual property data. Second part is that a proxy working on behalf of a nation state inserts malicious software into a supplier provided product component used in system sold to government agencies. So basically, if some country is providing certain softwares, and there is a chance that some malicious software is being embedded into that particular part. Then we have something, some breach can happen, which can result into the loss of several government contracts or something. Then we have a very important point. It is a system integrator working on behalf of an agency reuses vulnerable code leading to a breach of mission critical data with national security implementation. So these are some of the risks that can always or that can usually happen. Then there are certain more issues related to like um, if somebody is relabeling, yeah, the points are there. If somebody is relabeling and sending to the counterfeited products, so an organized criminal enterprises introduce counterfeit products onto the market, resulting into the loss of customer trust and confidence. So these type of issues can also be there. Then we have a company is on contract to produce a critical component of a larger acquisition, but the company relabels product from an unvetted supplier. Okay, so the case is that A is taking certain products from B, and B is usually having a vetted supplier C. But one very fine day, D is saying that I am giving you 50% discount to buy from me. So B started buying from D, but D is the unvetted supplier. Unvetted means its security controls are not being tested. Like I would say, like C is the ISO 27001 compliant company. Okay, so in this way, these certifications, what these certifications are basically giving us, these certifications are giving us a trust that the organization with which I'm working is implemented with a lot of security controls. So a critical system that cannot be trusted in deployed and operation systems, and there are no trusted suppliers for replacement parts. So these are certain cybersecurity issues, mostly which are happening with the uh, supply chain risk management. So there are a lot of risks which can be realized when threats in cybersecurity supply chain exploiting the different type of vulnerabilities. So in the next slide, we will be seeing a very good picture, a very good figure, basically. Just a minute, please. So in this very much figure, you can see that these are the threats and these are the vulnerabilities. So whenever we are doing any type of risk assessment or something, so we are just pointing out that what are the cybersecurity risks throughout the supply chain. Okay, so we will see one by one that what are the different type of risks. So the biggest risk is threat. The second biggest risk is vulnerability. Okay, when we talk about threats, so there are two type of threats. One is the adversarial threat, and one is the non-adversarial. So, what means as an adversarial threat and what means as a non-adversarial threat? It means that whenever something is intentional, okay, it means it is uh, a reason of something it is happening into a system like a malicious code. So, someone has written the malicious code, that's why it is into your system. So, that is adversarial. When some adversary is behind it, okay, I'm writing here. So when some adversary is behind it, it is become an adversarial threat. And if the things become naturally, it will become non-adversarial threat, like natural disaster, poor quality product, service, geopolitical war, legal regulatory changes affecting supplies or something. In adversarial threat, we have like insertion of malware. Okay, in this we have insertion of malware, counterfeit, industrial espionage, supply disruption, service outage, foreign intelligence entity. So all these are part of the adversary threats. So whenever we talk about cybersecurity supply risk chain, both type of threats, whether it is a adversarial or non-adversarial, it always creates a huge impact. Okay, and as a security professional, we need to understand this very much point that handling the adversarial and non-adversarial threat is a very important issue. The second risk, which is throughout the supply chain risk management, is vulnerabilities. Second is vulnerabilities. So vulnerabilities can be external, vulnerabilities can be internal. So as we have classified the threats in 2 points, one is adversarial and one is a non-adversarial. We again classify the vulnerabilities in two important points, that is external and internal. Whenever we talk about external vulnerabilities, it means interdependencies in the supply chain. Uh, just a moment. Hello. बस ठीक है हाँ हाँ yeah sorry to put you on hold. I had an urgent call. So, what are the vulnerabilities we are talking about? We are talking about the external vulnerability. We are talking about the internal vulnerability. So, whenever we talk about external vulnerability, basically they are interdependence to the supply chain, which are putting you outside the organization, and sometimes you have internal vulnerabilities that possesses the information system and components which are basically inside your organization. Let us say if there is a person who is putting a very simple password like 123, so it is an internal vulnerability. Okay, and if some malware is being injected into the system and you are procuring from outside, it will become an external vulnerability. Second important part is basically likelihood, and that is the probability of threat exploiting a particular vulnerability. Okay, so I think so. These points we have already discussed in our previous session, but this is the integral part of the framework. So that's why I am repeating some of the things. Okay. So when we talk about framework SP 800-161, so adversarial, uh, likelihood and non-adversarial. So we can judge some historical rate of occurrence, and for adversarial, we can talk about the capability and intent. That what are the capabilities that adversarial threat is happening, and how much it can, what is the frequency of the particular thing. Then we have an impact like degree of harm. So to mission business critical functions or maybe non-business critical functions, these impact need to be calculated. So impact, sometimes it is a low impact, sometimes it is a high impact, sometimes it is a medium impact. So whenever we talk about low impact, so there is a very less amount of data that is being breached, and there is a very less disclosure is there. But sometimes we have a loss of customer and public trust due to data disclosure. Sometimes we have a loss of classified information resulting in compromised national security. Sometimes we have a production delays due to supply chain disruptions, and sometimes we have a loss of intellectual property due to data exploitation. So if some malware is basically embedded into a device and that is sending the data from your machine to the external agency, so in that case, you can see that these are the cybersecurity issues that can be happening. Now, how you are going to handle this? Okay. So for handling the entire cybersecurity supply chain risk management, there is integrated risk management throughout the enterprises. And as I've already told you, the integrated risk management is enshrined in NIST SP 839. Okay. So I'm also writing it here. It is already written. Okay. So NIST SP 139, it describes the three levels that address risk from different perspectives. Okay. So basically, it is giving you a model where risk management is done at three different levels. One is the enterprise level, one is the mission and business process level, and one is the operational level. Okay. So it is a pyramid type matrix where level one is the enterprise, level two is the mission business process, and level three is the operational level. Okay, and cybersecurity supply chain requires the involvement of all these three levels. So because if you want to put the inter-level or intra-level communication, you need a proper strategy. And as we have already discussed about the feedback loop for the continuous improvement. So basically that is happening. This is the flow of the data usually. Okay, this is the flow of the data usually. So this will creating a loop so that the continuous improvement can be ensured. Also, traceability and transparency of risk-based decisions is also an important part, and organization-wide risk awareness is also an important part. So we will see one by one all these things. Okay, so if you see this particular slide, in this particular slide, you will see that how the supply chain risk management can be put down in a proper way. Uh, on the top of the side, we have the enterprise, and in the enterprise, we have a different work. In level two, we have a business processes. At the business processes, we have different work to do. Then we have operational. In operational, we have different work to do. So, in this multi-level risk management process, the supply chain risk management risk assessment process is seamlessly carried out across the three tiers with the overall objective of continuous improvements in enterprise risk-related activities, and definitely effective inter and intra-level communicating among stakeholders uh, are very much vested in the interest. See, we always talk at the inter and intra-level. Okay, inter and intra-level communication should always be there. So these activities can be performed by a variety of individual or groups. So you can create a PMO. Usually, the document is talking care about a word PMO. Let me write it down. PMO means Project Management Office. Okay, so PMO is something Project Management Office, and the standard is talking taking this particular term. NIST SP 161 Revision 1. So these activities can be performed by the PMO, or it can be done by the individual or groups within the organization. And it can range from single individual to committees, different divisions, and central program officers can be there. And different enterprises, depending on their structural, as we have talked about previously, their cultures, their missions, and many other factors can be taken care of. These activities are segregated at three levels, and we will see one by one that what are the levels and what they are focusing on. So basically, at level one, that is the enterprise level, the overall cyber security, supply chain risk management strategy, policy, implementation plan, how you are going to do. Basically, you have to set the tone for the entire SCRM into the organization, governance structure, boundaries for how SCRM is managed across the enterprises, and guide you about the different SCRM activities performed at the mission and business process level. Okay, so what is happening so what is happening basically at the level two? What is happening in the basically level two is basically derived from the level one. Okay, so basically manage across the different levels. Then at level two, that is the business and mission and business process, the mid-level SCRM strategies, policies, and implementation plan. So basically, at level one, the high-level decisions are made, high-level policies are made, and based on the high-level policies, at level two, the mid-level policies are being derived. Maybe they are strategies, maybe they are policies, and what are the implementation plan, and you can assume the context, and it is basically focusing on some specific mission and business processes. At level three, whenever we talk about level three, it is focusing on the operational side. So the SCRM plan will be providing the basis for determining whether an information system meets business, and sometimes you have different functions, some technical requirements, and sometimes you need some tailored components, some customized components. So these plans are heavily influenced by the context and direction provided by level two. So basically, level two is the guiding bearer torch for the level three. So in this way, you can see these particular um, strategies are working at different levels. So we will see one by one that how these things are working. So at level one, the overall SCRM strategy, policy, and implementation plan set the tone, governance structure, and boundaries for how SCRM is managed across the enterprises, and guide the supply chain risk management performed at the mission and business process level. So basically, if you see in level one, high levels C-SCRM strategy, implementation plan, and policy are being developed. At level two, we have something called as mission and business processes. This mid-level C-SCRM basically derived the strategies, policies, and implementation plan, and they assume that the context and directions set forth at the enterprise level. So basically, they already assume that the directions are already set at the level one enterprise level, and basically they are tailoring them. They are not changing them. The decisions that are taken at level one, so they are tailoring them as per their mission and business processes. Okay, so they are not changing them. They are just modifying a little bit the decisions and the strategies which are as per the level one. Okay, then we have level three. In level three, you can see the operational side. The SCRM plans provided the basis for determining whether an information system meets business function and technical requirement and includes appropriate tailor components. If these components are not there, we have already seen that there is a feedback mechanism. So at level three, the feedback mechanism could be activated, and the data could be shared with the different levels, whether it is a level one or level two, because there is always inter-level and intra-level communication is available. Okay, yeah, sorry for a little technical issue. So we are just talking on the level three that whenever we are facing the issues at level three, we can always have a look back mechanism so that we can uh, contact with the people at the level one and at level two. So in this way, we have seen that at the level one, we have a high level SCRM, basically the top end, the top notch strategy, implementation plan, and policies are there. Then we have a mid-level SCRM where strategies, policies, and implementation plans are there. And at the level three, we have C-SCRM plans, which are basically which are derived from the level two as per the policies, which are basically designed in level one. So in this way, the entire the hierarchical structure is working. So whenever we are implementing the C-SCRM, that is Cyber Security Supply Chain Risk Management, it requires basically enterprises to establish some coordinated teams which are having a shared responsibility model to effectively manage the cybersecurity risk throughout the supply chain. See, this is very important that you create a lot of coordinated teams and enterprises, or whether it is an organization, whether it is a private, public, they should establish and adhere to the SCRM related policies. See, in the very initial topics, I have talked about the people, process, and technology. And process means policies. Okay, and policies are to be implemented by the people. So the people can develop the policy. The people, but the main problem is that the people are not following the policy because the people who are developing the policy are not the person who are the on ground, because the ground level people are lying something on the level three. The people who are basically going to execute it, and the people who are at level one are going to design the policy. So there is a huge channel gap, huge communication gap between the level 1 and level 3. So that's why in SCRM we have talked about the loop back process. So the coordinated team should approach either in a formal manner or in a non-formal manner, and they enable the organizations to effectively conduct a comprehensive and multi-perspective analysis for their supply chain so that they can respond to their risk, they can communicate with external partners, stakeholders, and then they gain broad consensus regarding appropriate resources for the C-SCRM. See, the point is the main focus was that the team should be there and they must focus on what the written is for the documentation. And if for certain things, if they don't find as per the requirement, they can directly connect with the higher levels. Secondly, the members of the SCRM team should be of the diverse group of the people. Okay, so if you are creating a supply chain risk management team, always take people from the like the information security area, procurement area, enterprise risk management, engineering wing, software development, IT wing, legal, HR. So these are the people you should take care that these should be the part of the SCRM. Also, the SCRM, these people who are already the part of it should provide expertise in enterprise process and practice specific to their discipline area. So usually it is said that the people at the level 3, the operational level, should be given good formal training so that they can taken care of. We will now see the different roles and responsibilities of the people who are working across the 3 levels. So whenever we talk about the roles and responsibilities, there are certain areas that need to be taken care of. So if you are planning to implement CSCRM, it requires enterprises to establish a coordinated team-based approach and share responsibility that we have already discussed. Organizations should establish and adhere to CSCRM related procedures, develop and follow processes, and they should employ pragmatic and technical mitigation techniques. So I think these points we have already talked upon. Let's move directly. Yes, this is a very important slide, and in this very important slide, we will be talking like uh, 3 different levels. We will be talking on level 1, level 2, and level 3. And level 1, we have enterprises. So who can be the generic stakeholders? So basically, level 1 is broadly focusing onto the executive leadership, whether it is the CEO, CIO, CFO, CISO, and CTO. So these are the people who are the main heads of certain organizational departments are usually the part of the this enterprise level 1. What are the dedicated responsibilities? The dedicated responsibilities includes defining the enterprise the CSCRM strategy. So what are the strategies you are building? Okay, so what are the strategies you are building? This team is going to define, and how what is the governance structure, what are the operating model this team is going to define, and how you are going to frame the risk from the enterprises. If you remember that particular model where assess and mitigate and this frame, this model we have talked a little bit before. So this frame risk is a very important part because you are creating a context with the current organization and setting the tone for how to manage the risk. Then at level 2, we have a mission business processes. In this particular mission and business processes, the things are in a very different tone. Why? Because the point is that the people are basically from the mid-level management. Okay, and they are the people who are basically taking care of the entire organization. So the people related to business management, the program management, project managers, integrity project team members, and R&D members, engineering, software development lifecycle members. So all these basically SCRM are the part of this mission and business process level 2. Their main task is to develop mission and business process specific strategy. They need to develop policies and procedures and guidelines and constraints, but should follow the baseline that is created in level 1. Okay. Then we have something called as they are focusing on reducing the vulnerability at onset of new IT projects. So if something new is added into the system, then these people should be taken care of, and they should focus on reducing the vulnerability. Review and assess system, human, and organization flows that exposure business can happen. So when again it is talking about the people, process, and technology, that what are the flaws people have, what are the flaws that the process have, and what are the flaws that technology have. So these things also to be taken care of. Also, this particular level should implement the implementation plans also. Okay, so implementation plans is also a duty of the level 2. Apart from this, it is also responsible for managing the risk within the mission and business processes, and it should also report to SCRM level 1. Okay, so this is very important, and it should report to SCRM to level 1, and he should also act on reporting from a level 2. Because if you see this previous picture, okay, so in this particular picture, if you the person who is into the level 2, so he should report to level 1 about the updates, and he should take inputs from level 3 also. So level 2 is having a very important responsibility because they have to respond to different levels 1 and 3. Okay, let's go to level 3, that is operational level. After which we will take 15 minutes break. Okay. So at level 3, we have a level name as operational, and system management architects, developers, system owners. So basically, the people who are running the system, who are basically the asset owners, or sometimes we call it as the people who are taking care of the entire system, the entire organization is basically put into the level 3, the operational people. So they have to develop the C-SCRM plans, implement SCRM policies, adhere to the constraints provided by level 1 and level 2. So, because sometimes level 1 can also put certain constraints and certain leverages to level 3 also, and they have to report to SCRM on SCRM to level 3. So, basically, in this way, the entire system is working. So, if you talk broadly into the entire SCRM process, it should be carried out across the three risk management levels that we have seen: level 1, 2, and 3, with the overall objective. So, what is the overall objective? We need continuous improvement so that the organization risk-related activities and effective inter and intra-level communication, like level 1 to directly level 3 and all. So, this will integrate both strategic and technical activities among the stakeholders with a shared interest in the mission and business process. Because we end of the day we want that the entire supply chain risk management should be ensured, and whether they are addressing a component, whether they are addressing a system process or some policy or um, certain rules. So it is important to engage the relevant SCRM stakeholders at each level. So these are the important points that I need to just put down. And now we are taking a 15 minutes break. I think so that would be fine. Let's move ahead and now talk on to the different documentations that you require for the cybersecurity supply chain risk management, that is C-SCRM. And we will see that how these documents are interrelated to each other, and how they are going to be implemented. So if you can see on your left hand side, there are three levels. The view as a level one enterprises. Then we have level two, that is mission business processes, and at level three we have operational people. So we have seen in our previous slides in our continuing session that these different levels have a different key area roles that need to be taken care of. So at very first level we have a C-SCRM strategy. It is the top-end strategy that is governing the entire organization. Okay. Then we have a C-SCRM implementation plan, that how you are going to implement the plan, and plan is S for the C-SCRM strategy. Then for the particular organization, what is the particular policy? The policy is being rolled for the particular mission business processes. So basically at step three, the mission business CSCRM strategy is incorporated, which is in turn result into the plan, and in turn result into the policies. So basically the hierarchical model is so derived that the enterprises are pushing policies to the level 2, and level 2 are pushing policies to the level 3. So in this way, the entire CSCRM is being developed. So supply chain characteristic and cybersecurity risk factor associated with the product, service, or source of supply. So in this particular area, we will see these particular points. So if you can see in the very first part, you can see like source of supply, product or services, characteristics. So these points are there, and on the other side, we have a risk indicators. Okay, so what are the risk indicators, and what are the analysis? What can be the findings? Now we will talk upon that particular part. Okay. So basically, this table is taking care of the supply chain characteristics. So let us see and talk on one by one. So whenever we talk about source of supply, product or services, so we have to check about its features and functionality. So we have to make in line with our requirement, that what is our requirement and how we are going to do. Then we have to check that access to data and information, including system privileges. So what are basically we are checking the levels of system privileges, and what is the level of data that is basically being in use. And we have to take care of the installations and operating environments. Apart from this, security, authenticity, and integrity of the given product or service, and the associated supply and compilation chain. So these things are also need to be taken care of. The ability of the source to produce and deliver a product or services are exposed. So the product is I mean to say, enough capable so that it can produce and deliver a product or service as expected. So the ability should be there. Foreign control of the influence over the source, foreign ownership, personal and professional ties. So it should be as per your SLAs. Then market alternatives to the sources. So you must find out the market alternative to the sources. That if some A product is available, so what are the alternatives B or C is there. Provenance and pedigree of components, supply chain relationships and location. So these are the certain issues that might occur. What are the risks to all this? The CTTPs are the risk. The advisor will have certain techniques and procedures, and sometimes we have orchestration attacks, so we need to take care of that also. And security alerts or threat intelligence reports. So you always take care of these things. That what are the IOCs that you are receiving, and implement implications to the national security, homeland security, national critical infrastructure. Actually, these words are broadly from the USA side, United States of America, because this is the American standard. So these homeland security words are copying from that particular area. And vulnerability of federal systems, programs or facilities. Federal means your government systems, threat level and vulnerability level assessment, potential impact or harm caused by possible loss, damage, and capacity to mitigate its identified. So these are the important 5 points that you need to take care of. Now the other important point that we are focusing is now the C-SCRM security controls. Okay, so now we will be focusing on the C-SCRM security controls, that what are the security controls which are available. So the most important part is that there are a lot of controls which are listed in this particular standard, 853. Okay, so this 853 is basically SCRM, supply chain risk management. And when we talk about C-SCRM, that is cyber security supply chain risk management, it is enshrined in 161. Okay, so in 161, the controls of 853 are there, but the point is that only related to cyber security only are available. So basically, NIST SP 800 uh, titles supply cyber security risk management practices for federal information system and organization, provide extensive guidance on security controls needed to manage and mitigate supply chain effectively. So what we are going to do? We are going to extract the controls which are related to cyber security only. We will put down additional supplemental guidance, and we can add our own controls also. So basically, it is a family of controls where we have different controls like access control, awareness and training, audit and accountability, configuration management, contingency plan. We will see one by one: identification, authentication, incident response, maintenance, media protection, physical environmental protection, planning, personal security, risk assessment, system and service acquisition, system and communication protection, program management control. So all these control families are there. And if you are able to see that certain numbers are missing, okay, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, after 6 again 17 directly, and then again 20, because they are probably in this particular 53. Okay, so because we are focusing on NIST 853, and the controls which are related to cyber security is only available in 161. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead. So basically, there is a control family, and where all the controls are available in SP 853, and we have derived the controls related to the cybersecurity into the NIST SP 800 and after the derivation, we have certain controls. So basically, we are talking about the first family, and that is for the access control. For access control, we have around 7 to 8 controls, and these controls will be called as a control name. So basically, this particular is called as a control identifier, and this is called as a control name. So this is control identifier, and this is control name. Okay. So in the very first, we have certain policies and procedures for access control. In In the very first control for the policy and procedure, you are basically enshrining that what are the policies you need to take care of, and what are the different level of acquisitions for the security mechanism you are going to taken care of. Secondly, we have a very second component, that is the account management. In the account management, if you are putting required security controls into an organization for the supply chain risk management, that what are the accounts that OEM has created for you as the default accounts, and what are the accounts you need to you means what functionality you have add-on provided by the OEM so that you can add or remove certain accounts. Okay. In the access enforcement, you are going to ensure that the information system and the supply chain have appropriate access enforcement, basically mechanism in place, and this include both physical and logical access. And enforcement mechanism is very much important whenever we uh, likely work in conditions with supply chain needs, because every time we have to enforce that limited access will be given. So we always say in that zero trust architecture should be implemented. So the best way to do that is with you need to maximize the authentication and minimize the authorization. Okay, so this is the global way. So enterprise and organization should ensure that a detailed definitions of access enforcement should be there. So in this way, you can see that different type of control which are related to the access enforcement should be enforced. Then we have like information flow enforcement. So information flow enforcement is also a very much important issue when we talk about the supply chain, because supply chain information may traverse a large supply chain to a broad set of stakeholders, including the organization, and different government agencies are there, government stakeholders are there. You have different suppliers, developers, system integrator, external service providers. So other ICT OT related service providers are also there. So you need to take care of them, that what is the information flow. Okay. So let us suppose take an example. This is a company A and resourcing from company B, and B is coming from sourcing from company C. So in this way, if some updates are released from the C, so C will deliver the updates to B, and B will deliver the update to A. So in this way, there is a flow of data enforcement. Okay, so there is a flow of data enforcement. So you need to check this particular area. Okay, so the organization should require their prime contractors to implement this control and flow down this requirement to relevant sub-tier interrupters, because the contractors who are taking, or the OEMs who are taking care of the organization B. So it is usually said that the organization B will only have a single point of contact with the B. The A will contact B. A will not going to contact directly with the C, because C is the supplier for B and B is the supplier for A. So in this case, you can understand that A is always going to be talking with the B. So otherwise, there will be a different level of communication that can be happened. Then we have a separation of duties in the AC5 separation of duties. So the organization should ensure that an appropriate separation of duties is established for the decisions that require the acquisition of both information system and supply chain components. So in the separation of duties, it definitely help us to ensure that the adequate protections are in place for components who are entering into the supply chains of the organization, and they can be the developers, they can be the people who are going to help you in imparting your security needs. Okay. Then the concept of least privilege is always a very important part. And for the cybersecurity supply risk chain management, I've already told you that these privileges should be there, and maximum authorization should be there. So you need to take care of the entire part. So enterprises and the organizations should ensure that the protection are in place to prevent the non-enterprise users from having privileged access. So who the person who is not basically allowed for the access is not being able to access at anyhow. So when an organization users include independent consultants or something, suppliers, developers, system integrators, and all. So external system service providers, so they should be taken care of while working on the concept of least privileges. Then we have a remote access. In remote access, definitely these are the major issues that everybody is facing, and most of the times the remote suppliers are asking you to give permission so that you can take the so that they can take the system remotely. They are asking you to use secure VPN. Sometimes you need to employ some multi-factor authentication, limiting access to specified business hours or something. So there are different ways to so you can control. So whether the OEM or the supplier they want the remote access to your organization, whether for the purpose of development, maintenance, or operation of the information system. But the issue is that you should be adhere to your organization policies, because in supply chain risk management, remote access could be a very important control. So if you are controlling this particular issue, then a lot of things can be happening. See, when we are working on the supply chain risk management, then and if you are giving the remotes and all, then there is a very much chance of metadata disclosures are there, and these access can have significant implications for the enterprise mission processes, because the you don't know that from what like pathways the data is being going and all. So these are the different issues whenever we talk about the remote execution. Okay, and sometimes we have use of external systems, and we have information sharing also. So these controls are broadly focusing on the this particular point. So whenever we talk about like use of external systems, okay, so whenever we talk about use of external systems, so the organization's external information system include those of suppliers, whether it is a developer, system integrator, external service provider, and other IT/OT related service provider. So it's important that the organization, internal enterprises or internal departments, where direct and continuous monitoring is possible, so they need to take care of this. So the external systems used should be limited, and they should be as per their policy only. And then we have a last but not the least for this particular, we have the information sharing. So what information you usually share with the with the suppliers and all is a really matter of concern. So sharing information within the supply chain can help managing cybersecurity risks by the supply chain. So this information may include vulnerabilities, threats to criticality of system and components. So sometimes you have to share the information, because let us suppose you are a government organization or a private organization, then definitely you have certain responsibilities, you have certain liabilities towards the government, and that you need to give the details about the vulnerability disclosures and what are the threats that are being detected into your organization. So the organization sharing should be carefully managed to ensure that the information is only accessible to authorized individuals. The non-authorized people should not have this information, and it should be within the organization supply chain. Apart from this, the organization should clearly define boundaries for information sharing with respect to temporal and information contractual and your security and your what is it? Access systems are there, and even if other requirements are there. And enterprises should including information sharing with suppliers and developers, system integrator. Then you have some external system service providers, and sometimes you have a separate IoT related service provider. Sometimes you have a ISPs like BSNL, MTNL, Geo, and all these. So information sharing should be there, but they should be as per the supplemental guidance that is provided in the standard. Then we have a different more controls are there. They are not listed here, like publicly accessible control and some control related to data mining. So these controls are there. Then we have separate control that are related to awareness and training. And these awareness and training control are broadly defined into one of the standards we called as TIPS 200. Okay, TIPS 200 is a specific standard that is focusing on the CIA. Okay, so you can search on the internet CIA confidentiality and ability. So how the level of CIA is going to be scored is entirely a part of the FIPS 200. Okay, so it's a specific document. So this document explains the awareness and training control of the particular standard and add to this supply chain risk management. So this FIPS 200 broader discussions we have already done into our previous lectures, so we are not going to cover this particular right now. But the point is that this standard is focusing that we should provide SCRM awareness and training to individual at all the levels, at level 1, 2, 3 within the organization, and also it includes information security, procurement, enterprise risk management, engineering, software development, and we have people from IT, people from legal, HR, and other departments are there. And the organization should also like work with suppliers, developers, system integrator, external service providers. So giving training to the people who are related to you. Maybe they are not your employees or something. They are not on your role, but still there is a point that they are the part of your system. Okay, so giving training to them is a very important part. So we have certain controls there. Okay. So we have certain controls. One is the policies and procedures for awareness and training, security awareness training, and role-based security training. Just a minute, please. Okay, so let's start with the very first, that is 81. Okay, so we are just talking about the two controls that are listed here. That 81, 82, and 83. So 80 represent for awareness and training, and we have broadly three controls in this. So whenever we talk about 81, that is policy and procedure. So what's basically important is there, and what the guidance that is provided by the standard SP 800 161 Division 1. That organization should designate a specific official to manage the development, documentation, dissemination of the training policies and procedures. So it is recommended that the organization should impart certain people into the organization who will be taking care of this C-SCRM. Also, role-based specific training for those with supply chain responsibility. So, if people who are into the procurement wing or the people who are related to the specifications development for a particular OEM or something for some product development, so they should be given with the specific supply chain training. Apart from this, enterprises should integrate cybersecurity, risk change management training and awareness into the security training and awareness policy. So, if you have a certain security training and awareness policy, then you should always add that supply chain risk management training into that policy. That the security training policy also incorporate the supply chain risk policy. Then C-SCRM training should target both the enterprise and its contractors. So contractors must also be getting training for the supply chain risk management because sometimes they even don't know that the system is being impacted just because of the malware that is embedded, which are supplied by them. Because they even don't have that capability to detect the malware. So we must give the trainings to the contractors also. The policy should ensure that supply chain cybersecurity role-based training is required for those individuals or functions that are impacting the supply chain, such as information security owners and supply chain logistics, acquisition, system engineering. As we have seen in the recent past, that pager attack and all. So people who are related to the warehouses are the primary suspect right now. So all these things are very much important. The other part is that the training procedures should include different type of training elements, different type of technical expertise, different type of management expertise, so that they can have a broader overview. Then the other important part is literacy training and awareness, that is 82 and 83. So they are also focusing on the nearly same part. Then we have another important part, that is accounting and audit and accountability. So basically, if we say audit and accountability controls, so we have certain four controls in this. So account and auditability controls for supplies and risk management, specifically to the cybersecurity. It provides information that is useful in the event of a supply chain cybersecurity incident or compromise. So if there is a supply chain compromise, so account and audit controls are very much useful. So the organization should ensure that they designate and they put audit put a audit for the cybersecurity supply chain related events, and within their information security boundaries, and with a proper audit mechanism. See, whenever you are doing some audit or something, so and you have put down the required control, then you must also write down that what are the artifacts that an auditor can use. So, like you have system logs are there. Okay, system logs are there. Then you have imparted some ideas are there. So they have some particular logs. Then they have firewall logs are there. Then certain paper reports are there. Then you have certain forms. Then you have certain clipboard checklist and all checklist and digital records are there. So basically, these audit mechanisms should also be configured to work within the reasonable time frame as defined by the enterprise policy. See why this is important, because time frame is very much important. Time frame is not important because as the time goes on, there is a chance that the artifacts and the important evidences may be released or may be revoked by the attacker. So this is important that organizations may encourage their system suppliers, whether it is a developer, system integrator, external service provider, that the ITOT related services to be uh, put down with a special mechanism for the monitoring. So you should add all these things into your SLAs, also into your contractual agreement. Uh, but usually, like organizations are not deploying the audit mechanism or system outside the enterprise boundary. See, most of the times this is happening outside. Audits are still not preferable. Like A is procuring something from B, B is from C. So A is taking care of his own audits. Okay, A is not sending someone as a third party audit at the B's office. So this is actually required. This is actually required that A should appoint some party M, that an M should go to party B on behalf of A for the cybersecurity audit. Otherwise, what's happening most of the time? See, B is hiring M only and paying him to $20,000 something for the audit. See, if if B is paying to M, then there is a chance that M is not going to disclose lot of issues with M. But if A is paying to M, then definitely M will be finding lot of vulnerabilities and issues with the B. So these are the important points that the audit and accountability should be taken care of in the supply chain risk management. So we have certain controls there, which is talking about policies and procedures, audit events, audit reviews, analysis, reporting, and audit generations. So whenever we talk about policies and procedures, so organization must designate a special office, a special person, and as an officer or as an executive to manage all these issues related to. policy. The issues broadly related to policy are development of policy, documentation of policy, and dissemination of the audit and accountability policy to the whole organization. Procedure to include auditing of the supply chain information system and network. The audit and accountability policy and procedures should be appropriately addressed. Tracking activities should be there. You should be preparing some Gantt charts or something so that you can know with what is my audit perspective. And apart from this, there is a one more issue that accountability and audit. If there are any policies enshrined into the RA risk assessment process, then it should be appropriately address the supplier audits as well as the internal audits. So both the type of audits should be there. Okay. Then we have certain event logging are there. So whatever the event are being logged, they should be the part of it. Then we have audit reviews, analysis, and reporting. So whatever the audit has enshrined, what the audit has analyzed, the reporting should be done in a proper way. Then we have audit generation. So audit generation is a very important part that the audit should be raised in such a way that the proper record generation should be there and relevance supply chain auditable events component version updates, component approvals from the acceptance resulting. Somebody is saying that from CPRI the some tests are doing. So all these are basically the audit generation, audit record generation basically. Logistic data capturing inventory or sometimes we have a transportation information. So enterprises should require their prime contractors to implement their control and flow down their requirements to deliver subprime contractors. So these are important issues that are going to be taken care of. Then we have a configuration management. Configuration management is a really big topic. So whenever we are talking about the configuration management, so configuration management is asking you to manage that how you are doing the configurations and all. So configuration management has certain controls related to your policy and procedures, your access controls and all. So all these points you need to take care of. So for the very first CM1 that is talking here about the policies and procedures for configuration management. So if you are configuring something, then you should be taking care of what are the policies, what are the procedures, and the policies and procedures should be enshrined as per the organizational framework. Also, we have seen the three-tier model where level 1, 2, and 3 are there. So we have to take care of the fact that the tier 1 is the primary body for creating the policies, and tier 2 should be taken care of for all these configurational and development changes. Also, it should be noted that the tier 3 has as the operational mechanism, and these operational mechanisms are people who are working on the operational side. They must also focus onto the point that the framework should be live and it should be working in a homogeneous manner so that the proper feedback mechanism may work. Okay, so these are the important points when we talk about the configuration management. Then we have a certain baseline configuration. So baseline configuration will help you to find out that what is the particular baseline that below this baseline it is absolutely not allowed. Then we have a configuration change control, security impact analysis, configuration settings, least functionality configuration horizon plan. So all these things are there, and we need to take care of in this points. So any questions up to this? Okay. Then we have a concept of CM7 that is the least functionality. See why this least functionality is very important because whenever we are trying to set up for something, so least functionality basically reduce the attack surface. Enterprises should select component that allows the flexibility to specify and implement lead functionality. See, least functionality is a wonderful concept because minimum authentication, maximum authorization is a very important way to implement the least functionality. Enterprise should ensure least functionality in their information systems and networks and throughout the software development lifecycle. Particularly if I talk about NIST SP 1853, so they have created a mechanism that we can use to protect information system and network from vulnerabilities that will be introduced by the use of unauthorized hardware being connected to enterprise system. So whenever there is a hardware which is connected to the enterprise system, so there are required controls for that particular thing. Then we have certain points related to the information security component inventory because component inventory play a very pivotal role because usually we create a bill of material, single bill of material, and if we are not keeping down the proper inventory, then in case of any cyber sabotage or something, we face an issue of the inventory. So organizations should ensure that critical assets within the information system and network are included in the asset inventory. Apart from this, the inventory must also include information for critical components, which are like taking care of the continuity. Inventory information includes, for example, hardware inventory, software inventory. You need to also take care of the software license number, software version number, component owner, and so in this way you can see that these inventory issues are there. Also, whenever you are like installing something, updating something, and if you are removing something from the information system, so it should be noted down. Okay, so it is very important. If you are removing some software, some network components, so organization need to update the inventory to ensure traceability of tracking critical components. So if you are adding something to the system or you are removing certain to the system, then definitely these things are very much important. Okay. Okay, so sorry for a little bit of technical trouble. So we are just talking about the configuration management, and this configuration management we are talking about the concepts of these functionality. We have covered the configuration settings. So these are the important like components that are being provided as per the control. Then we have very important issues related to the contingency plans. In contingency plans, we have policies and procedures. We have contingency training, contingency plan testing, test backup, and how the recovering of in the case of the contingency. So all these things are creating a very important role. So we need to take care the entire process of this contingency because this contingency plan will help you out in uh, an point where the entire system is being impacted and you need to restore the systems from the very much scratch. Then at that moment of time, this contingency planning will be there. So contingency planning, the main important part is that the organization must establish, maintain, and effectively implement plans for emergency response, backup operations, and post-disaster recovery for organizational information systems so that you should ensure the availability of critical information resources and continuity of operations in the emergency situations. So this contingency plan is basically used during the emergency situations. If organization is under some emergency situation, then these contingency plans should be activated, and you should embed in the entire supply chain that the entire supply chain is incorporating all these contingency planning. So whenever we talk about cybersecurity supply chain contingency planning, it must include planning for alternative suppliers. Okay, so you must take care that in case you have some alternate suppliers or not, because sometimes what's happening now, you are dependent only on the same single supplier. So in that case, the things are not very good. So alternative suppliers of system components, alternate suppliers of system services, alternate delivery routes are also important, because if you are going from A place to B and you have a single national highway, in certain cases that national highway is being blocked. So although it is not related to cyber security, but it will impact your supply chain. And whenever you are working on the supply chain, so all these things are issues. And like denial of service attack for the supply chain. So these contingency plans help you to ensure that the existing service provider have an effective continuity of operation plan, especially when the provider is delivering services in support of a critical mission function at level 2. So you need to take care of. Also, many techniques are used for contingency planning, such as alternative processing sites, and you should have their own supply chain, which are related to your own risk metrics. So all these things you can take care of. So there are certain controls related to contingency planning, the plans and the testing plan system backup that we have already discussed. Then we have identification and authentication. Yeah, just a minute, please. Okay. So the important family of the controls is identification and authentication, and it specifies the identification and authentication minimum security requirements as follows. So what are the issues we are going to like face within the organization? See, most of the organization must identify their information security users, that's what are my information security users, and it processes the users' devices, authenticate them, and to identify their users and processes which are legitimate to the organization. Because sometimes the lot of unknown users are being connected to the organization. Mostly in case of you in your office or something, you have some Wi-Fi connections or something. So people are connecting their personal devices, personal PDS, laptop, mobile to that particular Wi-Fi. So in that case, you can see the identification become an issue and authentication also becoming an issue. So identification and authentication control family must include these certain controls from IA1 to IA5. And these controls will help you to identify and authenticate the critical SCRM, because now the point is that they are help you in traceability of the individuals, like who are being connected to my network and what are the important areas. Apart from this, specific system components in the enterprise supply chain network are also there. So we have certain controls related to this, like IA1 policies and procedures, We have IO2 identification, authentication. We have device authentication, authentication, identifier management, authenticator management. So these important points are there. So as an organization, you should like define particular intervals, uh, how you are going to enhance the review, what are your priorities, how are you going to update the identity and access management policies, what are the procedures to ensure that critical roles and processes within supply chain networks are defined. Also, you should able to trace the processes which are running in your system. Also, what are the components who are the part of the processes. So these are the important points. So this should include the identity of crucial components, and also they will help you out to include the cost benefit analysis also. Okay. So these are the major points that we have discussed. Then we have an incident response. So whenever we talk about incident response, it is a really incident response. Okay, yeah. So whenever we talk about incident response, there are certain controls related to incident handling, incident monitoring, incident reporting, and all this. Because incident is handling and incident response is a post-attack activity, and the organization must establish operational incident handling capacity. Nowadays, most of the organizations already have a cyber crisis management plan, CII, CCMP identified. So in that case, it will become a helper from them. But apart from this, they should establish operational incident handling capacity for organized information system, whether it is a IT or OT. Apart from this, they are able to include the basic functionality like adequate preparation, detection, analysis, containment, how you are going to recover from it, what are the user response activities. Apart also, you need to track, you need to document and report the incidents to appropriate organization officials and authorities. So all these things should be the part of the incident response mechanism. Also, it is to be noted that the organization should integrate the supply chain risk management into the incident response policy. Most of the times, it is seen that the incident response policy is there, but supply chain risk management is not the directive part. So we need to take care of that also, and procedures which are related to supply chain risk management strategy, implementation plan, and policies. So these should also be there. The policies and procedures must provide like directions for how to address, where to address, who are the important areas related to supply chain incidents and cybersecurity incidents that may complicate or impair the supply chain. See, whenever we talking about supply chain, the incident response policy should state when and how threats and incidents should be handled, reported, and managed. So these when and how are the very important parts. Okay, and definitely this should be a bidirectional communication. Let me write. Okay, and this should be bidirectional communication. Okay, so with all your supply chain partners, you should be having and creating a bidirectional communication, and it should be defined in your agreement with suppliers. Okay, so whenever you are creating some agreements, you are having some SLAs. So these points are always with you. So you should have this thing with your supplier, developer, your system integrator, your external service provider, and other ICT OT related services. This will provide you to inform all involved parties and supply chain cybersecurity incidents. I'm just facing trouble with my network, so I'm just taking 2 minutes break so that I can just fix it out my network issues. Just a 2 minutes. start again. So we have seen till incident response. Okay, we have talked about a little bit of important issues that the bidirectional communication with the supply chain partners will be there. Important issues related to incident handling, incident monitoring should be there. So whenever you are preparing your team, always prepare them for the incident response training. Okay. Because training, incident response training is a very important part. So because if you are not giving them proper incident response training, then definitely it will going to impact your entire organization. So the organization should ensure that critical suppliers are included in incident response training. Okay, so your employees are already the part of the training schedule of your organization, but what this particular control is asking, this control is asking you to ensure that the critical suppliers, which are supplying you the components and the important parts, you should also make them be part of the training. See, components and sometimes services. Sometimes you have vendors which are giving you the services, maybe your AMC partner or something. So you should always give them the incident response training. Then testing of the incident response is very much important. You must test the incident response. Then incident handling is the important part. IR4 incident handling. So you should able to find out the suspected cybersecurity supply chain event that may trigger and organization supply chain risk management incident handling process. So incident handler should be able to find out that this could be a possible trigger on which I can initiate my CRM process. Okay. So incident monitoring, incident handling we have done. Incident monitoring means that organizations should ensure that the agreements with the suppliers, with the vendors include requirement to track and document incidents, response decisions and activities. Then we have incident reporting. So um, supply chain risk management is specific supply guidance provided in control um, manner should be there. So these are the important points related to the incident response. Then we have a maintenance. Maintenance is a very important part because maintenance is something which you are going to uh, keep the part of the continual improvement. So the organization must include like performing periodic and timely maintenance on organization information systems. It provide effective controls on tools and what the techniques you are using, mechanisms and personals used to conduct information security maintenance. So there are people employed for it. And see, maintenance is frequently performed by the entity or an organization. It is separate from the enterprise. So you can ask some third party to do on your behalf or something. And then maintenance include performing updates and replacement. And your supply chain risk management should be applied to maintenance situations. It also like including your exposure to cybersecurity threats. You should assess that how much supply chain risk you have and put down selective controls, implementing those controls and monitoring them for the effectiveness. So these are the important processes. In the maintenance, we have certain controls from MA1 to MA4. In MA1, we have policies and procedures for maintenance, controlled maintenance, maintenance tools, and non-local maintenance. And sometimes we have a maintenance personnel also. And media protection, whenever we talk about the media protection, it is focusing mainly on to the type of media that we are using. Okay, okay. So any questions up to this? Okay. So whenever we talk about media protection, so media protection, um, the particular point for the media protection is that the organization should protect the information that is lying both in the paper and digital media. Also, it should limit the access to information on information system media to unauthorized users. So limit access to the authorized users only. Then you must sanitize and destroy information media before disposal or release of or reuse. So basically, media protection is focusing on the creation of media, use of media, and on the deletion of media, on the three basic layers of media protection. Then policies and procedures for media protection. There are certain policies should be there, media access should be there, media marking, media storage, media transport, and media sanitization. So all these points should be there. Also, whenever you relate this thing with the software development life cycle, these important points are need to be take care of. Then we have a physical and environmental protection. So whenever we talk about physical and environmental protection, so organization should focus that uh, limited physical access to the information should be there. The equipment should be in a safe environment and operating environment to authorized individual only. Then protect the physical plants and support the network or information systems should be there. Provide the organization should provide support and utilities for information system. So all these things related to the physical and environmental protection should be there. So, as a vendor who is working with you, should be practicing with your organization in a proper systematic way, because sometimes we have a physical access authorization, and if someone has a physical access, then he can view, alter, he can insert something into a database, he can connect something or else remove something. So these issues can be there, and if some AMC personals or some third-party vendors are with your organization, then these issues can be real alarming. Okay. So these are the important issues that are related to physical and environmental protection. Then we have a planning. So in planning, we have a policies and procedures for planning, system security and privacy plans. We have rules, and in personal security, we broadly not taking much issues, but policies and procedures related to personal security, position risk designation, that putting the people onto the critical roles directly for the newcomers and all these issues are covering into the personal security. Then we have a risk assessment. In risk assessment, I think we have already covered risk assessment in our previous sessions, so I'm not going to discuss on it. Then system and service acquisitions. Yes, this is a very important part, and because why this is important, because sometimes some organizations are acquiring certain organizations and certain systems. In that case, the inherent vulnerability that the organization is possessing become the part of the new organization. So these are the important points that we need to take care of. Then we have system and communication protection. Then program management controls are there. So these are the important controls that we have just discussed. So if there are any questions, definitely we would like to take them first. You can write them into the chat box, please. So let's go ahead. So there are certain methodology through which you can like check the malwares in the cybersecurity supply chain. So there are certain points which you can take care of while you are preparing something or already you have something. So how you can do that? So there is a certain ways, 4, 5, 8 ways we have enshrined. First is related to code auditing and analysis. Then we have a software composition analysis. In the code auditing and analysis, we usually source code review we are doing and perform manual and automated source code audits to identify malicious code and vulnerabilities. So manual testing is always very good. Also, when we are doing the static analysis tools like SonarCube, Veracode, check marks, they will automatically detect potential malicious patterns or vulnerabilities in the code. So if you have certain softwares deployed in the organization and you have their source code also, okay, so you can use this SonarQube, Vercode and checkmark for automatically detect the potential malicious patterns. Then we have a software composition analysis in which there are certain So let's come back to the topic again. So we have two cases: code auditing and analysis, and software composition analysis. Then we have certain more methodology to find out the maliciousness into the supply chain. That is behavioral monitoring and threat intelligence integration and binary analysis. So what we are doing exactly in the behavioral analysis, we execute the software in the sandbox environment to observe any suspicious behavior such as unauthorized network connections or file changes. We use certain EDRs like CrowdStrike or Sentinel-1 to monitor the supply software's behavior. If you recently seen this CrowdStrike event, so what's happened in the CrowdStrike event? It is basically a supply chain issue. It is not an attack, but it is an issue developed by the supply chain. See, airports are just out of work. A lot of medical equipments are out of work because the update which is pushed by the CrowdStrike onto the Falcon server of Microsoft. So the thing is that it is not a supply chain attack, but it is a supply chain issue. Okay, it is an unintentional. Okay, but if this become an intentional, then it is like an attack only. Okay, so these type of issues you must be checking on. Then we have a threat intelligence integration. So you must incorporate threat intelligence feed that provide up to date information on malware, known malicious domain. So basically, IOC is definitely you are getting. So these IOCs should be the integral part of your threat intelligence integration. Then we have a binary analysis. So you should conduct dynamic binary analysis to examine how software behaves during execution. And there are tools like Cuckoo Sandbox that can help detect malicious code in the binary files. Then reverse engineering is also an option. Reverse engineering means you are creating the executable again back to the code level language so that you can know the better uh, functionality. You can inspect the hidden elements. So there are tools like IDA Pro, Gidra, which can be used for this process. Usually, people who are into the malware analysis and reverse engineering are using this. Then we have a certain network monitoring tools, IDS, deploy IDS like Snort or Suricata to monitor network traffic. Then we have network sandboxing. Then we have digital signatures and hash verification are there that because everybody know that every file has a unique hash value and using the IOCs we get to know that what are the files which are having a certain malicious intent and their hashes are being extracted by the agencies. So we can block them also. Digital signatures we can put up on, and we have a penetration testing, like we used to do VAPT as per the policies and 6 monthly or 1 yearly VAPT for IT and OT systems. So these are the important points. Then we have like continuous monitoring. Okay, so continuous monitoring is an important part, and apart from this, logging, alerting. So these all are the important part that you need to take care of. Third-party vendor security assessment, security audits, compliance checks. You ask your vendors for compliant audit like ISO 27001, NIST, SOC 2, SOC 1, SOC 2 audit, because this will emphasize this secure software development and supply chain practices. See why these certifications are required for the organization. These are required just for the method for verifying the integrity of the organization. Is it clear till now? Yeah, we are taking a 5 minutes break, please. start. Okay, so any questions up to this? Because we are now ending with this standard. Now we will see to NERC, North American Electric Reliability Corporation Critical Infrastructure Protection. Okay, so we are ending this session here only. Okay. And thank you everyone, and please keep a record of these screenshots for your attendance. And thank you so much for being here for a long session of 3 hours 30 minutes. Thank you so much.